Now, how does the global downturn affect consumers' attitudes to corporate social responsibility? Well, new findings reveal that 70% of them would remain loyal to a brand which supports a good cause. Well, for more on those findings, VanderMolen, the regional president for Edelman, which conducted the study, joins us now live in our studio. Now, that's a very interesting finding. What would consumers classify as a good cause, and would they potentially actually want to spend more on a product or, from companies that support those causes?
Well, we looked at 3 markets in Asia Pacific. We looked at India, China, and Japan. And the common cause linking those 3 markets is the environment, although it's expressed in different ways. In Japan, it's much more focused on global warming. In India and China, it's much more focused on access to clean drinking water. But consumers across all these markets say, even in a downturn, they will support brands who are actively and visibly supporting social causes of local import in the markets in which they operate.
And what are those social causes, essentially? I mean, as you mentioned the environment, but there's a lot of concern that corporate social responsibility, sometimes gets taken for charity. How do you differentiate?
Well, essentially what we're looking at is this idea of mutual social responsibility. So it's brands understanding what consumers in local markets expect the brands to do. And issues that are top of mind are poverty alleviation, equal access to education, access to safe products. So it's very local, the issues and causes that consumers are expecting brands to interact with.
Right. Now, you mentioned Japan, China, India earlier, but are there a lot of geographic divisions? Certainly they have different vested interests, but there's also a perception that perhaps the West cares a lot more about social causes than developing countries in Asia, which there's always been a perception that they've never really cared much about such issues.
Absolutely not true. In fact, Chinese consumers, 86% of them say they're involved in addressing a social issue locally that's of importance to them. That could be disaster relief in Sichuan. It could be, again, equal access to education. So Chinese consumers, and especially this emerging middle class across the region, is very active in social causes. We also think that this will continue to increase as trust in government and trust in business in general decreases as a result of the economic crisis and as a result of questions around product safety. All
right, and very quickly, are there particular companies or brands that come up repeatedly as socially responsible?
I think a handful are doing a good job. Hewlett-Packard, in fact, is doing a great program with the WWF through its Climate Witness program to address local environmental needs. McDonald's in Japan is also using the proceeds from Big Mac sales to address environmental needs.
Okay, well, I'll have to cut you off there. We're running out of time, but thank you very much for joining us, VanderMolen.